Oh, hello folks, 104 checking in again for UKCB TV channel. Just water tonight, guys. Anyway, I want to talk to you again about shtf preparedness. Now, I'm not jumping on a bandwagon with this. I've been sort of doing stuff on this dating back pretty much forever, really. One of the main reasons I got into CB back in the 1980s was to provide comms to my mum that used to be a sort of a home care assistant. She used to be driving back in the night before mobile phones. Weather was bad, comms between her and home. I'm on my way home and all the rest of it. And indeed, back, I think it was 1980, late 1981, maybe 1982, huge blizzards out in the country where we lived. And indeed, we picked up a message from a family that had been stranded in some snowdrifts up the road, and we put them up for the night, things like that. And our phone line went down for a week, all that type of stuff. So I've always been into the sort of preparedness thing, not in a big way, but I just seem to have a bit of experience and aptitude to spot potential things that might be beneficial in the event of some kind of emergency. So yeah, stick with it, and we'll have a bit of a discussion on the matter. Okay, thanks for sticking with it. Now, a quick snippet of news before we continue. I have reopened my Facebook page, so I'll leave the link to that below. Just general news from both of my channels and etc. on that one. I have moaned about Facebook in the past, but I was losing out on a lot of contact with people that I've sort of got to know over the years. So I've reopened that. So there's a little bit coming up on that Facebook feed from now on. So I'll leave a link into that below. And also, as far as content is concerned, I'm going to be trying to put out some more regular content on both this channel, UKCB TV, and my 104's Unplugged channel. So UKCB TV, I'm going to endeavour to put something up most Fridays, and 104's Unplugged, I'm going to endeavour to put something up on Wednesdays. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, without further ado, let's crack on with tonight's subject. And it's something of a continuation from my last video on the subject I posted up a couple of weeks ago. I think totally, apart from a few notes, totally unscripted. I'm speaking freely. I've not copied this content off of anyone else, but I have heard mention of a lot of, I would say, enthusiasts more than anything, really sort of saying, oh no, we've got to keep medium wave going, we've got to keep long wave going, the big AM transmitters, that type of thing. To be honest, I haven't listened to long wave or medium wave in donkey's years. Most of the time that I've tuned in, it's just been a load of noise, or there's not much on there. In fact, I'll cut in a little snippet now of the close down of a radio station I picked up on an old radio some months back.
Absolute Radio is no longer available on this frequency. We're no longer broadcasting on AM, but it's easy to keep listening to Absolute Radio. Digital radio is free.
Yeah, so they are dropping like flies, to be honest, and I can understand it. Certainly in a big country, the big transmitter, the big multi-kilowatt transmitter is still a very, very useful thing. But excluding some more of the remote areas that we would need to deal with, I honestly think for the UK, just give up on the big transmitters and go down the route of FM. I say FM, I'm talking about the FM broadcast band, which is, I think, 87.5 megahertz to 108 megahertz here in the UK, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of ham radios around. There's a lot of PMR 446 radios around. There's a lot of CB radios around, but nothing compared with little transistor radios, old and new. My new DAB radios, they've still got that FM broadcast band on there. Loads of these. That's actually a replica. I don't know if you can see it in shot. There's a replica Bush radio up there, I think. And this thing cost about £2 online, £2 or £3. And yeah, that's
after he travelled to the talks, but the Russian president did priority.
Won't leave it on too long so I get a copyright strike. But yeah, And these things were in great demand over in Spain and Portugal when the power went down. Still no explanation of that. It's now the 15th of May. No explanation of what that was caused by, that big power outage. But yeah, what can I say? These things could be an absolute lifesaver. But I'm talking, instead of having the big, massive transmission towers, I think they've had their day, to be honest. It's sad, but I think they've had their day. Here in the UK, we have amongst the highest commercial energy costs in the world. So you imagine just to power the things, how much electricity it would use, the maintenance, etc., etc. It's just not commercially viable. It's not economically viable to run these things. And another reason why I don't think that they're the way to go for emergency communications and an emergency communication system is, in a smaller country, big countries, different thing. You've got your big transmitter covering hundreds of miles and maybe further, okay? The information you can give out from that is not going to be particularly localized, just going to be general sort of stuff. And also, just think, if that should be attacked in some way and taken out, you've lost a very big area of your coverage. Whereas, if you go down the route of a multitude of low-powered, local, hyper-local FM stations that would come on air in the event of an emergency, then I think really for a country like the UK, that's the way to go. Obviously, we'd have to address things like the remote parts of Mid Wales, Northern England, Scotland, etc. to fill that in. But I honestly think that that would be the way to go. I've actually written a few notes, but I don't think I need to address them too much. Yeah. FM broadcast band, loads of radios out there. And the antennas aren't going to, the aerials aren't going to be that big. Low power, 25 watts, 50 watts, maybe less to cover a town, village. And I would say lower power, the better, because say in the case of a city, you could actually have district by district. So the information given out is really localized and honed in on that particular area. I'm talking things like, say down in the local town, it says, right, today, supply chain has gone down for the supermarkets, but we've got a water delivery coming in at the community centre at X time during the day. We've got the food bank opening up at 3 p.m. down at the local warehouse. That type of ultra local information. And with such a load of different FM stations, not relying on a central source of information, because that could get taken out, it would be absolutely fantastic to be able to just pick up that info really locally. And I just think that's got to be the way to go. I just think we should say, right, okay, the big stuff has had its day, but look at the deployment. And I say the pre-deployment, something that'd be nice to actually get it in place and set up and tested before any sort of crisis actually occurs. So that brings us on to really the question of who's going to run it. If it was completely sort of ad hoc and community driven, like somebody says, right, oh no, it's a disaster, pretty much like I would do with the CB, I'd probably dive up a hill or something and set up a station and see who was out there. I don't think there's the community cohesion to do that. It'd be too ad hoc, it'd be too chaotic. I think there needs to be some sort of primary contact, the primary operator really for these little micro stations, and everyone else is welcome to feed into that. And I say feed into it, it would have to be verified information, because as we can see with some of the stuff you get on the internet, rumors can run absolutely rife. So it has to be verified information coming into the station, the localized FM station, for then that to be propagated and passed out to the regular folk out there with little radios like this. So whether that would be a council allocated thing, something, I don't know. That's something that you're more than welcome to comment on below. I wouldn't just go straight down the route and say give it to a particular amateur radio club, because some amateur radio clubs are really quite big and they run courses and all that type of thing. Some of the smaller ones, quite often it's just about 3 or 4 guys sat in the pub around a table having a few real ales. So you can't really just say, right, give it to them or give it to Raynet or give it to whatever. I think it would have to be some sort of government representative, and those other people feed into that, like I said. And that not just radio people, we could be talking local people. Like I said, someone's baked a load of cakes or something like that, and they can feed it in and say, right, we're gonna, excuse the pun, and say, right, we've got some whatever available, water, food available at a specific location at a specific time. And again, they could probably tie in with information they can get from the military, perhaps Coast Guard, that type of stuff. In addition, I would consider using the military, especially for the infill stations for locations that can't get coverage because of terrain, etc. They're the ones really that I would say give it to them, and they can get up on the top of hills with Land Rovers, whatever, and get some FM broadcasts going, and perhaps that would have a bigger coverage as well, that type of thing. So I really think that FM is the way to go on that band, but with input from multiple sources, as long as it's verified and you don't spread panic, you don't spread misinformation, etc., etc. So that's why I think there should be some sort of little radio room or something like that. They had similar things back in the days with the nuclear threat. They had the observation underground little observation centres all over the place, that type of thing. But on the highest building, little room, battery backup, little FM station, you got Starlink, whatever, contacts made with the police, etc., to feed in verified info and do some testing, etc. And really, I think that's the way to progress. So yeah, I won't make it too long because I'll just be going over the same things over and over again, but just chucking it out there for sort of food for thought there for you. And as I say, I do wonder whether it's going to take something fairly serious to happen like it did in Spain. On the face of it, it's not that serious, a 10-hour power cut, but certainly the amount of disorder it caused in those 10 hours. You imagine what would happen in 24, 48, 72 hours without any verified information coming through sources such as, like I say, a hyper local information service delivered over radio. Okay, 104 checking out, hopefully till next Friday, and I'll catch you all again soon. Cheers, everyone.